Welcome to the Empowering Choices podcast. My name is Joshua.
I'm Lucas.
And I'm Eric.
Eric and Lucas are licensed professional counselors, and today we are talking about play.
I feel like you're always like having to definitely like reassure the audience that like these are licensed professionals.
Yes.
I promise.
The next 20 minutes may,
The next 20 minutes may like kind of belie that statement.
but we are talking about play.
So this again is kind of from our list of. Where did you find this list of stuff, Eric? Was it just like from a particular website, or was this a conglomeration of stuff that you found?
Couple of different
places.
Yeah.
This is a list of Eric's notes. Parents who regret not playing with their children enough, and you particularly use the words creativity and goofy, which I think those are kind of almost different things, but not identical.
Yeah, but they could be worked with at the same time. It just kind
Sure,
of
of
depends
course.
on your kid, depends on you. And it's, it came out of some parents who said, listen, I was basically too serious and didn't take the time to just play with my kids.
So the thumbnail for this video is why so serious.
There you go. Yeah.
Why not play?
The value in just playing is huge. And that's kind of the thing, is that sometimes play for some of these parents, that were, being pulled in this information, is that they were making playtime about talent refinement.
Oh.
And so
I told myself, this is a bit of a side tangent. I told myself that if I ever played a video game and it felt like work, I would stop playing it immediately.
Right.
That's what this sounds like.
Explain what you mean. But play as talent refinement.
Talent refinement. So let's say that
You can only play if it's helping you get better at the violin, or helping you get
Or
better at
art,
basketball,
or drawing,
or art, or drawing, or piano.
You can't
or
just
chess.
play to play.
You can't just play. It's like, no, let's do that layup again. No, you need to put more leg into it, and you're out
And
there
that's
to
not
play.
playing.
No, you're just out there to play horse, or you're just out there to shoot the ball around, or but it becomes a coaching session, is what these parents were saying. And generally speaking, it's either going to end in the kid doesn't want to go back and play with you too many times after that, and they're just going to play with their friends, or it turns into a great big conglomerate mess of an argument, and they walk off.
And then they also don't want to play with you
and
anymore.
then they don't want, and you're going, look, I'm just trying to help you get better.
Yeah.
Better. So if
But that's not why we were here.
That's not why we're here. If we're thinking, I'm just trying to help you get better, or you feel those words coming out of your mouth, it's probably talent refinement. And as a writer, as an athlete, as an artist, I totally get those impulses, because as my kids have sat there and I'm like, ooh, if I could just show you, shut up. And I'm saying this internally. Oh, if I could just show you back.
Right.
We're just gonna, it took me a long time to just be able to use stick figures in my counseling room as art or visuals. And I will even say, because I'm a serious artist. And I'm like, okay, listen, guys, I'm going to go to the stick figure art that I am famous for, because if I go to draw a human brain, you're probably not going to want to be here for a day and a half.
Right, exactly.
So I get it done, and then we can do this. And that's the thing, is that you gave them 50% DNA. The other parent gave them 50% DNA. They may have echoes, reflections of things that you are talented in, and man, you would love to see that happen. And that's the big resistance of that current, is don't do that.
Right. So our theme here is play for play's sake.
Just play's sake.
There is a place for talent refinement, but
Absolutely.
that is not our focus here.
Andre Agassi, one of the greatest tennis players ever, was asked one time, how does it feel to be considered one of the greatest tennis players ever? I mean, how did you like playing tennis? And without pausing, without skipping a beat, he said, no, I hated every second of it. And they're like, what? Huh?
One of the greatest tennis players.
The greatest
I hated
ever.
tennis.
And you hated it. And he goes, yeah. And they said, well, how did you get into tennis? I had the misfortune at 4 years old of picking up a tennis ball and a racket and I hit the ball with the racket, and my dad saw it and said, he's got talent.
And for a 4-year-old, he probably did.
Now, one of the greatest tennis players ever, so he definitely had talent. But he said then it was all about talent development. It was never about fun, and so the pushing became about, you have to get better, you have to refine this. He may not have even wanted to be a tennis player.
Sure, right.
Well,
like one might imagine that in a universe, he really enjoyed the hobby of tennis and he went on to be an accountant.
Could be.
Like that's because like that's one of the things that I talk to folks about when they talk about the things they like to do. And actually it's true for me, right? I'm a professional counselor by trade, but I like make art and I play role-playing games on the side. And there are opportunities theoretically to take those into the counseling room. But like in a lot of ways, I've consciously decided to like, particularly like for the role-playing games that I play, of like, I'm not bringing those into the counseling room because they're just, it doesn't work. Right. I want to have fun playing those, but then if I try to make them into work, I get the wires crossed. It doesn't work.
Right. It won't be a good crossover in there. And so, just playing and goofing around and, helping a child, I've done this a lot in my career, has helped kids, teenagers learn how to throw a baseball, throw a football, play Frisbee. I mean, there's certain technical things that will help them be able to do that, but it was simply for the sake of being able to do that equal to their peers.
And I can hear in our discussion, there's like play for being goofy. There's people who miss out on that.
Totally.
And then it's really easy to be like, and sometimes you need to develop some talents.
Right.
But it feels like the people that you were reading from, they went that way too hard, too fast, too frequently. And we want to kind of lean on, be goofy, be silly, don't worry about the end result. Like, and be silly with your child, and that has value.
Isn't it those things that help to develop the creativity?
Yes.
And open the mind, and even though you're not maybe learning something a particular way, those things all then add up and make you a better person. Like I think one of my main things was I almost never wanted to do anything the way you're supposed to do it. So my version of play was I'll figure out, like take the tennis racket. There was a tennis court next to my grandparents' house. It was, I'm going to do how I want to do it. And so I would push back against anyone whose idea of play was, no, I'm going to show you exactly how to whatever. Because it's like, no, I'm not even playing tennis here. I am, but it's my own.
Playing Calvin ball. Come off.
Exactly. It's my own thing. But I liked maybe some parents just naturally like to play because I don't know. I just like the randomness of it. So like my son right now, he'll come and bring the whole Lego thing and just turn it upside down, the whole bucket, and dump it in my lap.
In your lap.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And it's like, all right, let's do it. Bring it on. And then we make things. Right. And it's fun. And he loves taking the car and knocking the towers down, and I'll build them, and we just do that.
There's and so I'm going to say some of these parents probably didn't know how to play because probably no one played with them.
Right.
I worked in a group home for adolescents a long time ago, and I remember, one of the tough kids was really having a good day on a Saturday, and they let him bring out his, it was Legos and cars, and he just was able to dump them out in the living room. Most of the other kids were on home visits, so I think he was the only one there. And this particular staff, went off to go have a dentist appointment, I think it was. And then they came back a couple hours later, and they walked in the front door and walked over to the living room and went, why is this mess still here? And the kid's like sitting there in the middle of it going, oh. And because he was
still playing.
And he was still playing. And the guy goes, this should have been picked up an hour ago.
Why?
And so then he blows out, as they call it. Yeah. He had it sent him over the edge. And when all that gets calmed down, and I was talking to the staff, and he's like, I don't understand why he does that. And I said, dude, I know you don't.
Let me educate you.
And he goes, what do you mean? I said, you walked in, he's doing great. And you said, and he goes, yeah, why is this still here? This should have been picked up an hour ago. And I said, where'd that come from? And he goes, Well, that's how I grew up. You got 2 hours max. Then it's cleaned up.
Okay.
And he goes, he just sat there with it and he goes, yeah, I heard it. I totally heard it. I did this. I can't believe that. So he went.
He had no idea
he had no idea that this was the rules that he had been raised with. Therefore, they were
Now
the
he's
rules of
imposing
the
those.
world.
Yeah.
Yes.
The rules of the world.
And that's the thing, is that some of these parents, in this information that I've gathered, those were the rules of the world. You didn't play goofy. What's the, because adults are logical brained. Okay. So we're looking for purpose in what we do. And so we can't find a purpose to play goofy. We don't play goofy with each other.
That doesn't enhance your career.
Doesn't enhance your career.
Ironically, it actually does.
It does. Talk to the people at WOW. There's an enhancement of fun in certain things that you can do in a goofy way on every level. And so what he did is he went and he brought that child back down to doing well and calm, and then he took him back up there because he had cleaned everything up, and he dumped it all out, and then he got in the middle of it, and he would have to come out of it about every 45 minutes and come say, okay, please tell me it's still okay to have that out. And I'd be like, it's okay to have that out.
The staff.
Yeah.
The
And
adult.
then he would walk back in there, and he would protect other staff from, making that not be that way. And he never was really able to get on the floor, but he was able to be in the chair and talk about the different things that, the boy was making, And so he was getting to that goofy side of things. We have commercials in our country right now where it shows moms and dads, and they get into, princess or knight type attire, made out of cardboard or cloth or however this is. And they're just goofy playing in their kids' world of imagination. That's goofy play.
I was just watching a video recently that this is leaning towards kind of the skill development end of things, but it just kind of struck me. This is a guy who's he's a martial artist, and he said that there's a trend among highly skilled martial artists to not spar, and by sparring he meant like going really hard in practice. He goes, it works better in so many ways to have fun in your practicing rather than trying to, when you're in practice, just kill the other guy. Because he goes, it leads to more stress and it leads to more injuries. But kind of like for our purposes, the stress of trying to go super hard during play or practice, it makes it so you don't learn as well. He was saying that when the body is more relaxed, when it's playing, it learns better. And so giving examples of like the animal kingdom, right? When a dog chases a ball, it's cueing in those like chasing things skills, but it's playing. And when like lions play, they're having fun, but they're also learning how to hunt, kill, and eat things.
Yep.
And so he was saying that like if you take your practice to the level of like competitive stress, you're actually hurting yourself. Your ability to retain and to learn is actually damaged. And then if you're a martial artist, you may take a punch too hard to the head in practice, and then you're injured or whatever, and it's a detriment. So again, that leans into the kind of skill development of things. So I wouldn't necessarily want someone to take that and be like, oh, I can just be sneaky with my skill development. Like, no, there's a place to just like, make stupid things out of play.
Well, and if you look at the highly esteemed Mr. Rogers, half of his show is sort of like, hey, let's look at some practical things and tie our shoe and whatever. And then all of a sudden, the other half, we're in the land of make-believe, and we're playing, and we're playing with puppets, and we're doing stuff. And so it's kind of that whole mixture. And I've found
messages within that play.
Right. Yeah. And they come through. And so like one of the things that we have at our house, I just enjoy coming up with random things. I think it's funny, but I saw some video on TikTok, and it was like this guy who pranks people, and he says, oh, my cousin Tommy Tough Knuckles. Well, so we have a singing seahorse that I have named Tommy Tough Knuckles.
Oh, so I thought it was like a branded toy that came from the
no.
store described as, okay, this is a Josh
so
special.
It's a singing seahorse that like it glows and it plays music, but we've named him Tommy Tough Knuckles. And then my son also has a little Jeep that like is battery powered and goes, so we call that Tommy's Jeep. And so now we're, at nighttime, Tommy Tough Knuckles is our final thing that comes out, and he hides and he does stuff. And I make up these stories about Tommy Tough Knuckles and his time in New York City and how he's
the seahorse.
Right. And so, as he's sort of, getting all that, he'll go, Tommy, and where's Tommy's Jeep? But it's fun. It's just, it's fun. It's fun for me. It's fun for him. It's not, someone could look at it and go, well, that's not as productive. You should be going through the ABC song over and over. And we throw the ABC song in every once in a while because one of Tommy's songs that he plays is the ABC song. But then the rest of the time, Tommy's, doing his tough knuckle stuff and beating up other stuffed animals. And
did you see how their advice folds back into making it technical? Right. You should be doing the ABC song.
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, preschool's coming. They're going to do the ABC. They're going to do the colors. They're going to do 1, 2, 3s.
Yeah.
Well, they'll be ahead. Well, what is that going to do? What difference does that make? I may have taught them the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s, the whatever. Okay, I can feel proud about that. But at the same time, I don't have those memories now of playing with Tommy Tough Knuckles. Because your son's probably not going to remember that, but you're going to have those things to share with him later on. Yep. And it will build to other kinds of silly play, which honestly, silly play is one of the biggest things that build the relationship between you and your child, because your child, as we talked about in horseplay, gets to see and read and learn your facial expressions, which is the canvas of humanity, learning those different connections. And he gets to play with you and get to know you better, and you get to know him better. So it solidifies more and builds more into the blood bond. Silly play, any of these activities, they really are highly productive in bonding you with your kids. I've told parents for years and years and years that coloring at the dining room table beats Disneyland every time. Because Disneyland is a byproduct of the relationship. I know lots of kids, adults, who they went to Disneyland once or twice a year or other like Disneyland things. And when they look back on those memories, they're like, well, that was kind of fun, but I kind of hated it. And when you really get into it, it's because the relationship wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so it was just a mess.
So if you really have a person that really wants to conceptualize raising their kid as like skill development, it's like, okay, silly play is building your relationship. If they need that kind of like cause and effect and like, what am I getting out of this? And like, you're building a relationship with your kid so that when your kid's 22, they'll talk to you.
Yeah. And you're going to have the skill development part. You're going to teach them how to brush their teeth. You're going to teach them how to eat with a fork and a knife and a spoon.
Sure.
You're going to teach them how to pour liquid into a cup and drink from a cup. You're going to teach them, potty train them. That's all skill development, guys.
Do all that too.
Yeah. And so you're going to have that, have fun. Since our society has it layered in that school will teach certain things, when you get to school, you could reinforce what the school is teaching by just going over their ABCs with them, their 1, 2, 3s at that time.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be the primary means of let's make sure you get this because you need to get this and you need to be as smart as you can be and you need to be smarter than the other people who are trying to be smart and then you can go off and be a nuclear scientist or something else.
Well, and that's why Tommy Tough Knuckles has such nice teeth, because he brushes them. So we talk about that. So we do work in some of the fundamentals. But funny, your Disney thing, I've seen like some shorts on YouTube, shorts, whatever. I've seen some videos of parents showing their kids standing in line and saying, when you spend X thousand to come to Disney, and the kids just want to go back and hang out in the hotel room.
In the hotel room.
And they probably want to be there because that's like the first time the family's all been together, jumping on the beds. Yeah. And that's
goes
more
with
exciting.
That. Yeah, because you can't jump on the beds at home. But what do we care about the hotel? It's not our bed. We don't have to pay for it. Let's jump all now. Now the adults,
and that's more fun than Space Mountain.
Exactly, because you're getting that interactive time, and so it's that embed that silly play in there. I mean, I have a little maybe more than some people have it in there because forever when we would go shopping. because I like to make everything fun.
Yeah.
So when you're shopping, there's things to get, that you put into the cart. Well, you just take it off the shelf and you put it in the cart. That's boring. But if I send my son up there and I go, hey, go up there and see if the chili's on there. Okay, yeah, that's the right one. Okay, hut. And he throws me a can of chili.
Yeah.
And I catch it and I drop it in. And then because my wife doesn't really necessarily like that, it's like, okay, we got to wait for the right timing.
Nice.
What was that noise?
Nothing.
Tommy Tough Knuckles.
Are you guys throwing the cans again?
Nope.
It's all fun and games until you miss it. And
well, and I've heard that. She's like, you're going to hit somebody. Well, I taught him how to wait for people to go by.
Be mindful of your backstop.
And don't throw the glass. And so, there's pieces like that are there, and you just
is that skill development, Eric?
There is some skill development there.
Sounds like play, and yeah, but yeah, so playing, which I'm glad this kind of like makes me feel okay for being an adult who loves just to play and be goofy.
Absolutely.
So I think that's a fun thing, and it's a good thing.
It's a great thing.
It's a thing to do. So, hey, if you enjoyed this episode, we've talked about play and all the different fun things you can do. Make sure to leave us a comment. Let us know things that you did as a kid that were maybe fun, or some of your struggles in playing with your children. We'd love to see that. And then make sure to like and subscribe, and then check out our website at empoweringchoices.community, where we have more courses and videos and all kinds of things on there. And we will see you on the next episode.